Howdy. Welcome back to One Rental at a Time. We make a lot of content on how to run the numbers on a rental, how to calculate cash flow on a house hack, how to understand the difference between yield, internal rate of review, internal rate of return. What is a cash on cash return? These are numbers that if you don't know, you can absolutely destroy your investing future. You can make mistakes, you can make bad decisions, you can chase a deal based on emotions and not math. So you would think that math is the most important thing. It is important, and you need to learn this skill. I think practicing the skill to make it as good as second nature makes you a better investor. And one of the strategies I used to learn how to run the numbers better on an investment was to contact an investor in my area who had rentals, the type that I would like to own, and ask them if I can run the numbers on their portfolio or their property and then see how close I came. They might not be willing to share their exact numbers, but they can tell you, here's what you missed. I didn't think of that. Or here's how accurate you were. Because once you learn that skill, it's going to benefit you throughout your entire investing. But it's this tiny little part of choosing a property. And is a rental going to make a good rental or not? So,
Mhm.
Matt,
Yeah,
aftermath, right? Because we learn the skill of how to run the
mhm,
numbers.
sure.
Let's go through your thought process on a rental. What makes it a good deal? After we've already looked at the math because we use the one rental at a time method, and you clarified it for us. Zuber and most of us were saying you learn the area average,
Yep,
and you want to beat the area average to try to get a good deal. And you actually said a couple of years ago, this more so protects you from getting a bad deal.
yep,
So this is how important math is. It can help you, it can stop you or protect you from getting a bad deal.
yeah,
It takes me about 90 seconds to figure out the math, and then I never think
exactly,
of it again.
exactly right. Yep.
But let's go through that list of things we do think of after math.
Yeah, I think very often, I think people, and Dion, you and I talk about this stuff a lot, and we agree on almost everything on the list. We want to view it as being the renter. You're a renter. What do you want out of a place? Well, I want something that's close to work. I don't want to be driving a ton of ways. I want to know that it's a safe area. So I know that I don't have to wear a flak jacket or pack heat, if I'm going to go home. I want to know that, especially where I'm from in Siberia, you want to make sure, hey, I've got some off-street parking so I can get the plow guy to plow behind me and I can actually get out in the morning if I need to go to work. It's all of these types of things that people very often don't think of just experientially about their places. But then the other piece is, okay, once I get inside, what's that experience? Do I want to have to go out and, find a laundromat? I do not. Do I want to have a dishwasher? I probably do. I'd like to have one. It's a nice thing to have. If it's a house, is there a bathtub? Or is there not a bathtub? If there's not a bathtub, you're going to have a tough time renting it out to a family with young kids. Do the windows where we're from, do the windows leak? Is there a bunch of cold air pouring through these windows? And what are those windows? Is that something that's going to need to be replaced? The appliances, those are all really expensive things. Do I want to have to swap all of those out in the next, year, as I'm just getting my feet underneath me in that unit? And then it's the stuff in the basement, the systems rooms, how's the heating system, how's the water system, those sorts of things. But I think if people start looking at things experientially on the tenant's behalf, they'll have much better properties with much better experiences. One of the things I talk about in my course all the time is curating the experience. I think that's a key portion that a lot of landlords miss. And they just look at it as this is what they're getting for rents, and this is what the market is for rents, and this is what I'm going to charge. Hey, based on what amenities? That's one of the things that we change, as you've seen in the course with how we write our ads. That's why we crush with our ads, is because we make it about the tenant, not about us, the owner.
Yeah, and when we talk about thinking from the tenant's perspective, I like to buy properties that help limit tenant turnover.
Mhm.
Not only do I want to make sure that there's demand, right? I want to buy properties where there's several economic drivers, like a base, a port, a college, a hospital, Boeing or Amazon, or a large population, three or four of those, so that if a tenant does move out, I don't have a hard time finding the next tenant. So when you said, I want to make sure, as the tenant's perspective, how close is it to work? I don't want to have to drive too far to work. Those are the economic drivers. I want to make sure my property is close to several of those. So you have more people who are thinking the same thing. This is close to work. No matter where they work in that area, there's a few of those. Uh, when I'm looking at the properties, we have math, but I have these are my deal breakers. And there's three right off the bat that I have it in my auto searches with my agents because all my deals are from the MLS, conventional lending or cash one time. Nothing. I don't do driving for dollars. I haven't done all the creative stuff. I'm the super lazy person. I just like to set up auto searches and buy. So to make my auto searches go better, I have no HOA. If there's an
Yeah.
HOA, I don't even want to see the property. It'll waste my time to look at it to then go, oh, there's a laundry list of reasons why I don't want to own it, all wrapped up in HOA. Second thing, and this gets some people who've been more creative than me, I don't want to see any properties that are a short sale. I
Mhm.
don't want to see any properties that are a foreclosure.
Mhm.
If the bank is dealing with this in 2010, 11, and 12, when, right,
Yep.
that era where we had a ton of foreclosures, ton of short sales, and the banks were trying to offload it off of their books to stay above water, sure, I would set my searches up for that. Is that the market we're in now? Or are you tying up your thought process, possibly your funds, for a year and a half for a bank to make up their mind? I don't want
Mhm.
any of that. All right, so these are my instant things to help me limit my search down to what I'm looking for. But that's not math. The math isn't about the HOA. The HOA fees are a problem. The random assessments can be a problem. My largest problem is no offense if this is somebody watching, generally it's the giant douchebags that are on the board on an HOA that have nothing better than their time to mess with their neighbors. I don't want to deal with that.
True story.
So, right. So I've got these limiting things. Then you said something from the tenant's perspective. Now, I look at things a little backwards sometimes. Like most people want their leases to end in the summer. I want mine to end in the winter because tenants are less likely to move. That's why it's harder to find them in the winter because they don't want to move. So I have less turnover. But one thing you said was, tenants thinking, is there a bathtub? If you don't have a bathtub, it's really hard to rent to kids. It is illegal to discriminate and not rent to people with kids, but it is not illegal to make your property less attractive to people with kids if you don't want to rent to them. So I rent to people with kids and I will rent to people with kids, but and I don't go in and rip out all the bathtubs and put in showers, but anytime there is work to do and it is going to be significant, more than a couple $100 in repair, I will rip out the bathtub and put in a walk-in shower. The idea being I'm less likely to get kids. The largest pet expense I've ever had on a rental was less than $200. Dog chewed up the trim around a door. So, including tip, including handyman, including materials, less than $200. I've had thousands, and I want to say closer to tens of thousands of dollars in damage due to kids.
Mhm.
And one of the most recent ones was plumbing pipes having to be replaced because 12-foot section with two bends was completely packed with the clippings off of the end of otter pops. The little plastic clippings had just made
Interesting.
cement in that pipe, and there was no taking it out. It was literally replaced. Now, are you going to go to you have a lease addendum that's saying, oh, any plumbing problems are yours, but how likely are your tenants to have the thousands of dollars just sitting in their bank to pay for a plumbing problem? That's why we set aside repairs, maintenance, and vacancy funds to take care of those items in the future. So I'm looking at the properties from, will I have a lot of tenants who want to live there? And will tenants want to stay? This comes down to, you have off-street parking in Siberia. This
Mhm.
matters here in
Yeah.
Washington too. Parking is very important. We generally have trees that overtake the rest of your property, so you want to make sure that there's enough parking. And washer dryer hookups inside each unit. Right. Anybody using a shared laundry, I hear landlords go, oh, I like having a shared laundry. It's an added source of income. Yeah, with higher turnover. Because anybody using shared laundry or a laundromat is waiting for someplace to open. Now, I'm not saying you're going to have a ton of turnover, but you're going to have more than what I like, which is what I like is tenants that are there for 26 years. That's acceptable turnover for me. And I have tenants who were in place for years and then I purchased, they're still there. What aspects of the property help limit tenant turnover? In my most recent advertisement listing a property, one of the pictures wasn't the first one because it wasn't the most important, but it was a picture of the fenced yard. And in the watermark that I put, I usually put my email, right? In the
Mhm.
watermark. So it's
Mhm.
less likely to be used by scammers on somebody. But directly in the photo, it just said pet friendly fenced yard. Now, some people say, well, I don't want pets in my yard. I've very rarely had pet damage. But with pets, you not only do you get a non-refundable pet fee when they move in, You get pet rent every month, and I do just $25 a month. Doesn't matter how many pets they have. Now, if you have ESA animals, you can't charge that, but you have to allow the pets. One of the reasons why I allow pets is because I never have to argue with a tenant about their ESA. Sometimes I just don't get the $25 a month, and I don't care. But you do get to charge a premium on rents, not for the pet, but just because you are a pet friendly area and you allow pets, you have more demand because there's a lot of people with pets that don't have options because there's so many apartment complexes and other landlords that have had a bad experience and they just say no pets, period.
Exactly
So
right.
I can set my rents higher than area average as long as I allow pets. People with pets don't like to move because even if the human moves with the animal, it is a pet relocation. And that's not a good thing to do. So you have longevity in tenants. We've been doing this for like, minutes now after math. This is all the stuff that happens once we know the fuzzy math says this is better than area average. It meets my minimum that I would make. So it's better than that. Like I said, I want to make at least $100 a door, but that's not a goal of per door anything. It's I don't want to manage a tenant for less than $100 a month.
That's right.
Manage a property manager with a tenant.
That's right.
I use the yield method. So math is calculated by yield for me. Once I know that it's good, again, I never think about it, but these are all the things I continuously think about. I'll also think of what would it take to make this den a bedroom? This isn't math. This
Yeah.
is more bedrooms means more space. I have the I have two tenants with kids and they don't rent my largest places. My larger places are generally rented with by couples where one is a work at home person. And so having that extra room, even though it's a den and they're going to use it as an office, I add a closet. It is now listed as a 3 bedroom instead of a 2 bedroom, or a 2 bedroom instead of a 1 bedroom, setting the rents at that. And the person who wants the 2 bedroom place, because they said in their mind, nobody says, I have nobody. I don't think people, because I've never met one, would go online to Zillow or apartments.com and say, I work from home. I need 1 bedroom. I'm single and I want an office. So I'm going to search for 1 bedroom places that have offices. What do? They go on Zillow or apartments.com and search for 2 bedroom units. Then in their mind, one of those is an office.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope people understand that yes, math is important and you need to learn this skill,
Yeah.
but it's one leg in the stool of how many legs this 8-legged stool has of what it makes a rental a good property to pursue. Thanks for hanging out with me here, Matt,
Huh?
and covering for Zuber while he's off gallivanting. I look forward to your live stream, which is every Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific. I know it's 9 Eastern for those people in the weird part of the world on the wrong coast. But I hope everybody has a great week. Think of all of the things in the comments below. Let us know, what do you consider when you're looking at a rental to see if it's a good deal or not?